In the heart of the most advanced alien empire in the galaxy, a royal princess looked at one human and trembled. "Father," she whispered in terror. That human isn't normal. What she discovered next shattered an empire's illusions forever. "Father," that human isn't normal. The alien princess trembled before. HFY Sci-Fi HFY stories. In the sprawling crystal spires of the Veyari Dominion, where the twin sons of Thaler cast eternal golden hues across floating palaces and gravity-defying gardens, Princess Selara stood at the edge of the Imperial Observatory. Her iridescent scales shimmered with hues of sapphire and emerald, a mark of her royal bloodline that traced back through 1,000 generations of emperors who had conquered stars without ever raising a blade in true desperation. The Veyari were masters of subtlety, telepathic influencers, masters of neural weaves that could bend minds and rewrite loyalties from afar. Violence was beneath them, a crude tool for lesser species who lacked the elegance of thought control matrices and quantum entanglement diplomacy. Selara's father, Emperor Kalen the Wise, had raised her on tales of galactic harmony and forced through superior intellect. "The universe bends to those who understand its hidden strings," he would say, his multifaceted eyes reflecting the holographic maps of conquered sectors. Humanity, that fledgling species from the distant Sol system, had only recently stumbled into the galactic stage. They were primitives by Veyari standards, short-lived, biologically fragile, their ships clunky fusions of brute fusion drives and rudimentary AI. No telepathy worth noting, no innate psychic shields. They bartered resources like eager pups, offered alliances with wide-eyed optimism, and spoke of rights and freedom as if such concepts could withstand the cold calculus of empire. Selara, at 147 cycles young, barely an adult in Veyari reckoning, viewed humans with a mix of curiosity and mild disdain. She had studied their history feeds, wars over land and ideology, inventions born from desperation, a species that survived ice ages and plagues only to turn their ingenuity inward on each other. "Quaint," she often remarked to her handmaidens, like watching insects build sandcastles before the tide. The Dominion had extended a formal invitation for first contact negotiations. A single human envoy would arrive aboard the neutral station orbiting the gas giant Vorath. Selara insisted on attending, against her father's gentle warnings. "Observe, my daughter, but do not engage deeply. Their minds are chaotic, unrefined. One stray thought could unravel a lesser being." The station's grand atrium gleamed with Veyari opulence. Walls of living crystal that pulsed with ambient emotions, floors that adjusted gravity to perfect comfort, and a central dais where the Emperor's delegation waited. Selara adjusted her ceremonial robe, woven from threads of pure starlight silk, and projected a calm aura that soothed the attending nobles. Her guards, towering bio-engineered sentinels with exoskeletal armor and neural disruptors, stood motionless. The human shuttle docked with a clumsy thud that made Selara's antennae twitch in amusement. The airlock hissed open, and out stepped Captain Marcus Kane. He was not what she expected. Tall for a human, perhaps 1.9 meters, with broad shoulders and a frame that spoke of physical labor rather than pampered diplomacy. His skin was a deep tan, scarred faintly across one cheek, evidence of some primitive conflict. No doubt. Dark hair cropped short, eyes like polished obsidian that scanned the room not with awe but with calculated assessment. He wore a simple uniform, dark fatigues with Terran Confederation insignia. No ornate medals, just functional gear that included a sidearm holstered openly. Primitive projectile weapon, Selara noted. How droll. Kane bowed slightly, a gesture copied from galactic etiquette databases, but it lacked the fluid grace of Veyari protocol. Emperor Kalen, Princess Selara, honored delegates, on behalf of the Terran Confederation, I greet you. We're here to discuss mutual trade and non-aggression pacts. His voice was steady, resonant, carrying none of the nervous tremor common in first contact species. Selara extended a subtle telepathic probe, standard procedure to gauge sincerity. Most minds opened like flowers under her touch, revealing fears, ambitions, Hidden agendas. Kane's mind resisted. Not blocked entirely, but dense. Like pushing through thick molasses. Flashes came through. Images of vast oceans. Towering cities under blue skies. Battles in zero-G where humans fought with improvised tools and sheer refusal to die. Emotions layered thick loyalty. Caution. An undercurrent of dry humor. But no fear. No deference. Solara withdrew, masking her surprise with a polite smile that revealed her delicate fangs. Welcome, Captain Kane. Your species has traveled far for primitives. We admire your persistence. Kane met her gaze directly. Persistence keeps us alive out there. Your Dominion controls a lot of shipping lanes. We'd rather partner than compete. The negotiations began cordially. Holographic displays unfurled star charts. Resource tallies. Proposed treaties. Veyari diplomats wove subtle psychic suggestions into their words, nudges toward favorable terms. Hints of unease if humans pushed too hard. Kane seemed unaffected. He countered with data packets from Terran probes. Detailed scans of unclaimed nebulae rich in rare isotopes. Offers of joint exploration tech that blended human ruggedness with Veyari precision. Hours passed. Solara observed from the side. Her handmaidens whispering in sub-vocal frequencies. He speaks as if equals. One murmured. Arrogant little ape. But Solara felt a flicker of unease. Kane's presence filled the room not with psychic dominance but raw physicality. When a minor gravity fluctuation occurred engineered subtly by a diplomat to test reactions, most delegates adjusted with elegant shifts. Kane simply planted his feet, muscles tensing visibly under his uniform, and continued speaking without pause, as if gravity was a suggestion. Not a law. Later, during a break in the crystalline gardens, Solara approached him alone. Her guards hovered at a distance, disruptors humming softly. Captain, your people interest me. You evolve on a world of extremes, predators, storms, diseases that would fell a Veyari in hours. Yet here you stand, proposing equality with an empire that spans 12 sectors. Kane plucked a glowing flower from a vine, examining it closely before setting it back. Earth isn't kind, princess, but neither are we. We adapt. We endure. Your people seem to avoid the rough edges. Solara laughed. A melodic trill. Avoid. We transcend them. Our minds shape reality. What use is brute survival when thought commands the stars? He shrugged. A human gesture that looked almost dismissive. Thoughts great until something hits harder than you can think. We've seen species like that gone now. Crushed by realities they ignored. The words lingered. Solara probed again. Deeper this time. Kane's mind surged back, not aggressively, but with a wall of memories. Humans in sealed suits repairing hull breaches while radiation cooked their cells. Soldiers holding lines against swarms of insectoid invaders on colony worlds. Engineers jury-rigging FTL drives from scrap during solar flares. Pain, loss, triumph, and beneath it all, a stubborn spark. We do not break. She pulled away sharply, her scales flushing violet. For the first time, a tremor ran through her. That human. His thoughts weren't chaotic. They were primal, layered with survival instincts honed over millennia of a Deathworld existence. Veyari biology rejected such rawness. Their evolution favored harmony over conflict. The first incident occurred during the formal banquet that evening. A rival faction within the Dominion's subtle schemers from the outer colonies had laced the neural wine with a mild disorientation agent. Not poison, merely enough to make negotiations tilt in their favor by inducing doubt. Veyari delegates sipped gracefully, their systems filtering it effortlessly. Humans, with their crude metabolisms, should have been reeling. Kane drank deeply, praising the vintage with genuine appreciation. Minutes later, when the schemers activated a hidden psychic amplifier to amplify the effect, Kane paused mid-sentence, blinked once, then continued outlining trade routes as if nothing happened. The schemer's lead diplomat, Lord Vexar, hailed his own probe backfiring slightly as Kane's unyielding focus scattered the wave. Solara watched from the high table, her father beside her. Father, she whispered. That human isn't responding as expected. Emperor Kalen stroked his cranial ridges thoughtfully. An anomaly. Their physiology must be more robust than scans suggested. Monitor him. But Solara couldn't shake the feeling. Kane's laughter at a jest from a lesser delegate boomed genuine. Unfiltered. Veyari rarely laughed. Mirth was modulated for social precision. This human's joy seemed weaponized. Infectious even without telepathy. Nearby nobles shifted uncomfortably. Their auras flickering. Negotiations resumed the next cycle. Tensions rose when discussing border protocols. The Veyari demanded exclusive rights to certain hyperspace lanes. Citing cultural preservation, Kane countered with sensor logs from human scouts showing pirate activity in those lanes. Activity the Dominion had conveniently overlooked. Coincidence? Kane asked, his tone even, but his eyes hardened. Lord Vexar, emboldened by prior subtle successes, projected a strong compulsion. Yield. Primitive. Accept our wisdom. Kane's hand twitched toward his sidearm, not drawing it. But the motion was instinctive. Predatory. Let's keep this civil, he said. But if your preservation involves ambushing our freighters, we'll preserve ourselves. Humans have a saying. Fool me once. Shame on you. Fool me twice. The room chilled. Solara felt the psychic backlash ripple through the delegates. Vexar's compulsion shattered against Kane's will like glass on stone. The Lord staggered, clutching his head. Father, Solara hissed urgently as the session recessed. That human isn't normal. His mind, it doesn't bend. It pushes back. Like a gravity well sucking in our influences. Emperor Kalen observed Kane across the atrium, where the human was casually demonstrating a handheld device, a multi-tool that combined scanner, welder, and emergency med kit. Veyari tech surpassed it in elegance, yet Kane's explanation highlighted its reliability in hellish conditions, like asteroid storms or boarding actions. Interesting, Kalen murmured. Perhaps a fluke. Or perhaps their Deathworld has forged something we underestimated. Proceed with caution. Daughter, invite him to the private sanctum tomorrow. Test the limits. Solara's heart's 3 in total quickened. She had never feared a lesser species. But Kane's casual strength, the way his presence disrupted the carefully balanced auras of the court, unsettled her core. The private sanctum was a masterpiece of Veyari engineering. A dome of adaptive crystal overlooking the gas giant's swirling storms, where gravity wells could be manipulated for meditation or subtle interrogation. Only the royal family and select guards entered. Solara led Kane there under the guise of cultural exchange, her father observing via hidden neural links. Kane entered without hesitation, scanning the vista. Beautiful. Reminds me of Jupiter's eye, but with more color. Your people build wonders. Solara gestured to a floating seat that molded to the occupant. Kane sat, the chair adjusting, then straining visibly as his denser musculature pressed against it. Veyari frames were lithe, optimized for low-gravity elegance. Human bone density and muscle mass made the adaptive fields whine softly in protest. We do, Solara replied, extending a stronger probe this time, laced with imperial authority. Reveal your weaknesses. Submit to superior intellect. Kane leaned forward, elbows on knees. Princess, if you're trying to read me, it's rude where I come from. But since we're being honest, your tech's impressive. But it assumes everyone's wired the same. Humans aren't. We compartmentalize. We fight back internally. Evolution's gift from a world that tried to kill us every day. The probe met resistance like a living storm. Flashes assaulted Solara, childhood on Earth, surviving a hurricane that leveled his coastal town. Military training where instructors broke bodies to rebuild wills. Deep space missions where crewmates died from micrometeorites or oxygen failures. Yet the survivors pushed on. And something deeper, a cultural memory of defiance. Legends of underdogs toppling giants. Of perseverance against impossible odds. Solara gasped, her scales paling to translucent. She clutched the armrest, trembling. The sanctum's ambient hum faltered as her emotions spiked. Kane noticed immediately. You okay? Need water or whatever you drink? His concern was genuine, devoid of mockery. That made it worse. A primitive offering aid to royalty. Emperor Kalen materialized via hologram. His voice calm but edged. Captain, your resilience is noted. Perhaps we underestimated Terran adaptability. Let us discuss alliances more equitably. But the seed was planted. Word spread through the court via neural whispers. The human envoy did not yield to influence. His mind was a fortress of raw will and biological tenacity. Guards reported unease in his presence, his movements too quick for his size. Reactions honed like a predator's. During a tour of the station's engineering bays, when a minor plasma conduit overloaded a test arranged by skeptical nobles, Kane moved before alarms fully sounded. He grabbed a Veyari technician, shielding her with his body as sparks flew, then sealed the breach with his multi-tool in seconds. The technician, shaken, later confessed the human's grip was like iron, his calm voice steadying her panic. Solara retired to her chambers that night. Unable to meditate, visions plagued her. Kane standing alone against a horde, not with weapons but sheer refusal to fall. She trembled, scales rippling with involuntary color shifts. Father, that human isn't normal. She recorded in her private log. He trembles the foundations we built on superiority. If more like him exist, our Dominion faces not conquest by force, but by example. The middle phase of the encounter unfolded over the following cycles as negotiations intensified. A border skirmish erupted, not involving humans directly, but a rogue Veyari splinter fleet harassing Terran mining outposts in the disputed Orion Spur. Reports flooded in. Veyari ships, sleek and psychically shielded, demanding tribute. Human responses were swift and unconventional. Kane received real-time feeds in the station's command lounge. Solara joined him, compelled by curiosity and growing dread. Holograms showed human frigates, boxy, armored behemoths with railguns and missile swarms engaging the aggressors. Veyari tactics relied on disruption fields to scramble enemy sensors and crew cohesion. Against most species, it worked. Minds fractured, ships drifted, but humans adapted. Crews donned neural dampeners, crude helmets that blocked psychic waves, bought from black markets or reverse-engineered from prior encounters. Pilots flew manual overrides, relying on instinct and training rather than AI assists that glitched under interference. One frigate, the TSS Resilient, took heavy hits, hull breached, yet continued firing. Boarding parties in powered exosuits, hulking things that amplified human strength, stormed Veyari vessels, where Veyari guards used disruptors to induce paralysis. Humans shrugged off partial effects, their adrenaline flooding systems with endurance that bordered on the unnatural. Solara watched in horror as a Veyari commander broadcast surrender demands telepathically. The human captain replied over open comms, voice hoarse but defiant. Nice try, but we've got headaches worse than this from Monday mornings. Stand down or we board and introduce you to frontier hospitality. The splinter fleet scattered. Human losses were minimal relative to the damage inflicted. 3 ships damaged. Dozens of crew injured but alive, thanks to redundant systems and that damnable refusal to quit. Back on the station, Kane turned to Solara. Your people started this. We finished it clean. No genocide. No escalation. Just a message. Don't poke the bear unless you want claws. Solara's tentacles' delicate sensory appendages curled in agitation. Your species fights like cornered beasts. No elegance. No retreat. Retreats for those who can afford it. Kane replied. We learned early. The universe doesn't care about elegance. It cares about who gets up after the hit. Emperor Kalen convened an emergency council. Solara attended. Her usual poise fractured. Father, the reports confirm it. Humans possess what our scholars dismissed as myth: Deathworld physiology. Higher pain tolerance. Faster healing via inflammatory responses that would kill us. Pack hunting instincts amplified by cultural bonds. Their HFY humanity, fuck yeah. As their memes call it, isn't bravado. It's survival encoded. Kalen's eyes narrowed. Then we adapt our approach. Subtle annexation. Offer protectorate status. Integrate their worlds under our guidance. But Kane, invited to the council as gesture of goodwill, rejected it outright. Protectorate implies we're children. We're not. Trade. Yes. Mutual defense against real threats like the Krix swarm on the galactic rim, yes. Subjugation. No. We've toppled empires before. Ours and others. The room erupted in psychic outrage. Auras clashing. Solara felt the wave crash against Kane. He winced but stood firm. Sweat beading on his brow. You can try breaking us. Others have. Romans. Nazis. The AI uprising of 2147. We endure. We innovate. We come back meaner. One noble lunged with a neural lash non-lethal. Meant to humble. Kane dodged with surprising speed. Grabbed the noble's wrist. And twisted just enough to disarm without breaking bone. Don't. The guards advanced. Kane drew his sidearm, not firing. But the threat clear. Primitive lead slugs. But at close range. Devastating to unarmored Veyari. Solara intervened. Voice trembling. Stop. He is. Different. Father. This human isn't normal. His kind could unravel us not by war, but by showing our subjects that submission isn't inevitable. Kalen raised a hand. Peace restored. But the fracture widened. Over the next days, Solara shadowed Kane during tours and discussions. She learned of human history. The Renaissance blooming from plague. Moon landings from wartime rocketry. Interstellar expansion from near self-annihilation via climate and nukes. Their art celebrated underdog stories of lone heroes or ragtag crews defying odds. Their science embraced failure as data. In contrast, Veyari progress was steady. Controlled. Risk-averse after early psychic wars nearly destroyed their homeworld. They avoided Deathworlds, colonizing only stable paradises. Humans settled anywhere volcanic hells. Ice tombs. Radiation zones terraforming with stubborn grit. One evening in the observatory, under the twin sun's setting glow, Solara confronted her fears. Captain, why do you not fear us? We could erase your fleets with a thought matrix from orbit. Kane stared at the stars. Fear's useful in doses. Too much. You freeze. We channel it. Turn it to fuel. Besides, Princess, you're trembling now. Not me. She was. Her body betrayed her. Scales shifting erratically. Proximity to him amplified the effect. His biosignature pheromones. Heat. That dense life force clashed with her tuned physiology like a discordant symphony. You see me as a monster? She asked softly. No. As someone sheltered. Your empire's beautiful. But brittle. Like crystal. One real impact. The Krix swarm arrived sooner than expected. A vanguard force of biomechanical horrors, hive minds that consumed worlds. Adapting to any defense descended on the Voreth system. Veyari defenses activated. Psychic barriers that induced madness in invaders. Fleet formations weaving entanglement webs to teleport ordnance. It worked. Partially. Krix drones shattered against the barriers. But their adaptive exoskeletons evolved mid-battle. Shrugging off mental assaults. The swarm pressed. Sacrificing billions to overload the matrices. Panic rippled through the station. Evacuation protocols engaged. Emperor Kalen ordered the royal yacht prepared. Solara rushed to the command center, where Kane coordinated with Terran reinforcements already en route days away at best. Your fleets, she demanded. Delayed by the same distortions. Kane said, suiting up in a borrowed Veyari Envira suit that barely fit his frame. But we've got shuttles. And bows. Bows. Metaphor. Courage. Look. Princess, your people are evacuating elites. Mine would fight to the last to buy time. Solara watched as Veyari nobility fled in ornate pods. Her father urged her aboard the yacht. Daughter, the Dominion must survive. This human's primitives can distract the swarm. But Solara hesitated. Kane was organizing station personnel, Veyari technicians, guards, even servants into makeshift defenses. He jury-rigged human-style barricades from cargo crates, distributed tools as weapons, and rallied them with speeches that bypassed telepathy. Raw words of defiance. Shared risk. We hold here so others escape. A Krix boarding pod breached the outer hull. Horrific creatures poured in chitinous. Multi-limbed. Acid-spitting. Veyari guards fired disruptors. Drones adapted. Regenerating. Kane charged forward with a squad of humans from his shuttle crew, only 5. But they moved like a unit forged in fire. One took acid to the arm, screamed, but kept firing, patching the wound with suit sealant mid-fight. Another tackled a drone, stabbing with a vibro knife through eye clusters. Solara, against all protocol, joined them. Her telepathy disrupted a wave of drones, inducing feedback loops in their hive link. But one broke through, slashing at her. Kane intercepted, tackling the beast. His suit tore, flesh gashed, but he wrestled it down, using brute strength and leverage techniques from human martial arts born on a world of predators. The creature thrashed. Kane held until a guard finished it. Blood human red mixed with Veyari ichor. Solara stared, trembling violently now. You. For me. For everyone. Kane grunted, wincing. That's how we do it. No one left behind if we can help it. The defense held long enough for reinforcements. Terran battle groups arrived in a blaze of railgun fire and nuclear-tipped missiles, crude but overwhelming in volume. Human ships absorbed hits that would cripple Veyari vessels. Crews fighting fires and breaches while counterattacking. The swarm broke, retreating to regroup. But the message was sent. This sector now had teeth. In the aftermath, the station lay scarred but standing. Emperor Kalen, humbled, addressed the survivors. The Veyari Dominion recognizes the Terran Confederation as equals. Alliances forged in shared blood. Solara stood beside Kane in the repaired atrium. Her trembling had ceased, replaced by resolve. She had seen the human abnormality. Up close. Not monstrosity, but a spark the galaxy needed. Endurance that outlasted elegance. Will that bent reality through persistence rather than command? Captain Marcus, she said, using his given name for the first time. Your people. They aren't primitives. They are the fire that forges stars. He smiled, bandaged but unbowed. And yours have the vision to guide it. Together, we might just survive what's coming. Years later, the alliance flourished. Solara became ambassador to Terra. Her court tales of the abnormal human, inspiring a new generation of Veyari to embrace calculated risks. Kane rose in Terran ranks. His stories of the trembling princess humanizing the once distant empire. The galaxy shifted, where Veyari subtlety met human grit. Threats dissolved not through domination, but unbreakable partnership. And in quiet moments, Solara would whisper to the stars, Father was right to fear. That human wasn't normal. He was better. The Krix returned in force a decade on. A full invasion wave that swallowed 3 sectors. The combined fleets met them at the Thaler line. Veyari matrices wove illusions and disruptions on a stellar scale. Sowing chaos in the hive mind. Human armadas provided the anvil endless volleys. Boarding actions that turned captured swarm ships against their makers. Ground forces on contested planets fighting trench by trench with improvised explosives and unyielding defense. Solara commanded a hybrid cruiser. Her mind linked with Kane's flagship via a new neural bridge that respected both psychics and raw comms. Hold the center, she urged across the link. Kane's voice crackled back, laced with that human humor even amid plasma fire. Copy. Humans don't fold easy. Watch this. His ship, the TSS Unyielding, rammed a swarm behemoth, disgorging Marines who fought through acidic hulls. Injuries mounted, humans lost limbs. Regenerated with medical bays running overtime. Pushed on with stims and sheer spite. Veyari support teleports extracted the wounded. Their healers marveling at human recovery rates. The battle turned when a desperate Krix queen mind broadcast a galaxy-wide psychic scream. Designed to shatter wills. Veyari crews faltered. Auras fracturing. But human channels filled with counter-chants. Songs from old Earth wars. Memes of defiance blasted at full volume. We'll fight them on the beaches. Adapted to 0G. Solara felt it through the link. Kane's mind. That dense fortress. Radiating calm command. Push through. For the ones who can't. The Swarm Queen fell to a combined strike Veyari entanglement, locking it in place. Human torpedoes delivering the payload. Victory came at cost. Millions dead. World scarred. But the Alliance stood stronger. A beacon against the dark. In the war's waning days. On the reclaimed Vorath station, now a symbol of unity, Solara and Kane shared a private vigil. Scars marked them both. Her scales bore faint acid burns. His body carried implants from rebuilt organs. "You trembled once," Kane said softly, "before the abnormal human." Solara laughed, the sound now warm and unmodulated. "I did. And learned. Your normal is the extraordinary the galaxy needs." Father saw it too. In the end, he called you the spark that reignites stagnant empires. Kane took her hand, tentative, respectful of differences. "And your people taught us finesse. No more bull rushing every problem." Their alliance birthed joint colonies. Hybrid tech that blended psychic interfaces with rugged human engineering ships that thought and endured. New species joined, drawn by the legend of the trembling princess and the human who refused to break. Decades on, as Emperor Kalen passed the crown to Solara, she addressed the unified Senate. "We once feared what we could not bend. Today, we celebrate what bends with us. Humanity showed us. Normal is overrated. The abnormal forges tomorrow." Kane, now admiral, stood at her side, their bond a bridge across stars. The galaxy, once a tapestry of isolated empires, wove tighter, resilient against whatever horrors lurked beyond the rim. And in the quiet observatories, young Veyari and human cadets alike heard the tale of the day a princess trembled, and a human proved that not normal was the greatest gift of all. The story of their meeting echoed through generations, a foundational myth of the ascendant Concord. Explorers venturing into uncharted arms carried its lesson. Strength lies not in purity of form or mind, but in the fusion of elegance and endurance. When swarms rose again, or ancient precursors awakened, the combined fleets met them not as Veyari or Terran, but as one unbreakable whole. Solara, in her later cycles, would visit Earth's wild preserves, those preserved Deathworld pockets where humans tested themselves against nature. There, amid storms and beasts, she felt no fear, only kinship. The human who once made her tremble had become her anchor. His abnormality, the norm for a thriving cosmos. Father, that human wasn't normal, he was the future.